let's get into this exercise. We're going to go through all 30 NBA teams, and we're going to decide whether we think they should be buyers, sellers. Our 5 tiers here are fuck it, we ball, which is push in the chips, go for it this year. Wide open Eastern Conference, potentially wide open finals picture. Buyers, teams that should be pushing in some chips, maybe not all chips. Sellers, teams that should be making trades to get either worse for the rest of this season or project for the future. Teams that should stand pat, pretty much sit on their hands and do nothing. And then teams that should blow it up, blow it to smithereens, send them to hell for whatever roster that they've currently built. I don't imagine we'll be getting a lot of that at this deadline, but there might be some teams that we think should be doing that. So let's get into it. I'm going to start with a team that I watched destroy my Philadelphia 76ers yesterday. Now, we didn't have Joel Embiid. We didn't have Paul George, but this team is legitimately good. And we've talked about them a little bit recently, and I think the New Orleans Hornets should be buyers. Did I just say the New Orleans Hornets?
You did say the New Orleans Hornets, but that's okay. That's okay. No, I mean,
we're bringing them back to New Orleans for our trip when we go. That's how much we love them.
Do we think they should buy? My only thing with them being buyers is, do we think that there's a move that will like dramatically like change their fortunes and be something that's going to contribute in the sustainable future? Because they have the consistency problem by virtue of their best player being injury prone in LaMelo Ball. Like, he has not been injured recently. I don't think that's behind him. I think that we'll probably have some other weird little ding or, hiccup with his health here at some point. I hope not. I hope he's healthy for the rest of his career, but like, it's just expectation wise, based on what his career has been to this point, I think that will probably happen at some point. So my thing is, I am okay with them being buyers, but like on the condition that it is a move that will also help the team going forward. Like, I don't want like a one-off rental type guy,
I agree with that. So here's my thing. We've already established we think Khan's going to be a star.
Yeah.
LaMelo, even with his inconsistencies and injury-prone nature, is in application a star when he actually plays. Brandon Miller, starting to look like a little bit more like what we thought Brandon Miller could potentially look like now that there's a little bit of infrastructure, they have real talent around him. So you combine those three, combined with the fact that they have other teams' picks right now. They have the Miami Heat's pick. They have the Dallas Mavericks pick from trades that they've made at previous deadlines. So it's not like this team has to hit on their pick this year. Now, would it be nice to be, get Dallas's luck from last year and jump up and draft Cooper Flagg, or the Spurs luck and jump up and draft Dylan Harper if you make the play in and then lose? Sure. I'm not saying that they should be, like I said, there's an extra tier, which is you push in all the chips. But I do think getting these three some postseason experience, seeing what they look like in the context of a playoff series or whatever, play in, whatever they can reach, is important to figure out what they need moving forward. Because this starting lineup is really gelling extremely well. We've talked about the fact that they have so much creation, so much shooting, and they don't need to make like a huge trade here. Like, what I'm talking about here is like, can you get a more reliable center maybe at this deadline? Can you go out there and like, I think to be clear, I think Musa Diabate has done, he's done well for them. I don't know how much I trust a Diabate Kalkbrenner center rotation in games that actually matter. I think they're probably more of fringe starters and backups. Can you go out and get someone who can make a difference at this deadline in that capacity? And they have Colin Sexton's expiring contract. They have some second, and you could protect your own first round picks, trade those. You could trade one of those other first round picks that you have acquired and add protections to those. And at this deadline, I don't really think there's going to be a ton of teams that have picks they can move to potentially go get the players that are available, which we'll talk about some players that could be available here. Like, for example, like I keep hearing like Najee Marshall from the Mavericks could be available for a first round pick. I'm like, what good team has a first round pick to trade for Najee Marshall? and like needs Najee Marshall. So I kind of just laid this out, but the Hornets they have so many different things that they can upgrade that I think them being buyers doesn't necessarily mean that they have to make a big push, right? Like I just talked about, like, okay, like they could trade for a bench wing like Najee Marshall. They could trade Colin Sexton's expiring for another guard that comes off the bench that's better than Colin Sexton. They could trade for a starting caliber big. Like they have so many different ways that, like, if I were them, I would just at least test the market, see if there's anyone you can get for like very little, like maybe second round picks or like protected swaps. And then if there's nothing there, then you don't have to be a buyer, but you could just test the market basically.
I'm honestly, you were talking about this. I mean, if there's something good out there that's available, I wouldn't mind throwing top 4 protect your pick for like lottery jump ups. And I wouldn't even be above putting that on the table for like the right guy. Like if you could get someone who like could be a starter for your team moving forward and fits well with like the rest of your core, like, why not? Like, I don't know who that guy would be, like necessarily, like, Michael Porter Jr. might be like a culture fit with that Charlotte, but like, I'm just like trying to think of like who, like the big problem with this trade deadline is like, I don't really know who's like actually available in terms of like fringe to starter type guys. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I guess
I have a good idea. I feel like I have a good idea on like, for example, like I just laid out, like, I think Io might be available. I think Jalen Smith, Kobe White might be available. Like a few of the Bulls guys, I'm just riffing here. Daniel Gafford, Najee Marshall. Like, to me, those are the exact kind of upgrades that I think that a team like the Hornets could use. They don't need a clear high ups. I don't even think they need a Michael Porter Jr. Now, he would honestly be probably a pretty good fit just because could continue to add shooting to this team. Just really lean in on your strengths. And that's why we talked about on the Patreon episode a little bit and last week's episode that we like the Karl-Anthony Towns fit with this team, but it doesn't seem like Karl-Anthony Towns is going to be moved anytime in the next week or so. Well, that's something that would probably be more likely to happen this offseason just because the complications of trading a salary that big with all of the apron rules in the middle of the season. But this Hornets team is good enough that I think this is the first time in their history that I would put them in the buyers tier. At least it's moving back. Like Khan being this good as a rookie shows you that he has like extremely high upside. Miller getting back on track and LaMelo being healthy for the first time in his career. Like, I don't know. Like I said, like, I'm not saying go crazy and trade a bunch of picks and trade a bunch of your players on your roster to make a superstar trade or anything. But if there's the right trade out there for you, give the fans something to look forward to. I looked at the standings today. I think if this team continues to go on the track that they're on and maybe make like a slight upgrade on the bench fringe starter mold, I think they can get as high as 6.
Yeah.
It's like, possible. I don't think it's impossible that they can make a run and get as high as the 6th seed. And at a minimum, they could get to the upper half of the play-in. And I don't think they're going to beat the Pistons or the Knicks or the Celtics in a playoff series, but like, if they could even win 1 or 2 games in a series against one of those teams, then that would be literally the greatest achievement in the history of the new version of the Charlotte Hornets. Like getting into the playoffs and like putting a scare into one of these top seeds in the East and then kind of building off that moving forward for the future.
Yeah. I mean, I was pretty high on this team, like coming into the season, like just in terms of them being like fun and like a competent team. This is even beyond like what I expected, to be totally honest. I think most of that is Khan on how good he's been. But yeah, I mean, I think the bones are here to like at least start building like a pretty, competent team. The only 2 team building things is I would not build something that locks you into LaMelo. I would be very careful. I would maintain your flexibility to kind of pivot out of the LaMelo track. And I think you just, just like you said, look for what's available for cheap, and if nothing is available, then, don't make a move. It's fine. But see what's out there because and try to get somebody who's going to like help you, in the long term and somebody that you can kind of keep on your roster for like continuing to build and kind of continuing this positive trajectory.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I'm very excited about this Hornets team. I think they've been probably one of my favorite stories this season so far. And I was low on them this season. Now I was more optimistic about their future outlooks relative to how I felt about this team in the past, especially if I thought they could get LaMelo healthy, which they have been able to. And I still thought this team was going to be like the 13 seed in the East. So the fact that they're 12 right now, but they're about to pass the Bucks, they could easily make a leap into that play-in. And like, there are teams in that play-in range that I think that, yeah, I don't think that we're going to have many teams that are in the like, we might think they should sell, but I don't think we're going to have like, I think like, for example, like we'll probably think like the Heat and the Bulls should be sellers. I don't know if they will at this deadline. And if that is the case, then it's going to be a little bit harder to kind of continue to like leap every single team. But I think like I said, I think that their range for finishing this season, if they continue on this trajectory and assuming everyone stays healthy, I think they're somewhere from the 6 to the 9 seed. And I think that is something that, and not in a way that it was like when LaMelo was young and it was a bunch of veterans plus LaMelo. It's like we have a young core that we can actually build with. And like I said, most exciting Hornets season in literally their entire franchise when you consider, where they're at right now and where they could possibly go in the future. So really, really good for them. Do you have a team up next that you feel passionate about in what direction they should go at this deadline?
Yeah, let's get Dallas out of the way. Because I think they're one of the clear blow it up teams. Or not blow it up. So sorry, sellers. Sellers. Yeah. I think they're one of the clear sellers.
To be clear, I think they would blow it up if they could. I think
I mean, I just like not Cooper Flag. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's obviously. That kind of goes without saying. What I'm trying to say here is like if they could trade Anthony Davis, there are 3 players I think that they can't trade right now that they would trade if everything was equal, right? Like Anthony Davis would obviously be traded if he had any sort of market and wasn't injured all the time. Combine that with Kyrie Irving being out for the season, I think they would trade Kyrie if he were healthy. I think if he were playing well right now, they would probably want to pivot off of that and try to get more guys that fit with the Flag like trajectory more so than him. And then I think the other guy that they would probably consider trading is PJ Washington, who they can't because Nico's last final move before he got fired was to extend him, and then it made it so they can't trade him this season. And PJ's had a disappointing season, and he's a little bit redundant with their roster. But right now, the 2 players I think that will garner the most interest around the NBA via the Mavericks are Daniel Gafford and Najee Marshall. Najee Marshall, the report that came out from Mark Stein was that he is someone who they won't consider trading unless they get a first-round pick. I would do the same. He's had a great season. He's on a great contract for this year and next year. This is basically kind of the wing version of what we said the Bulls should have done with Kobe White a year ago.
Yeah.
Where if a guy's playing really well and you have him on a scam contract, see what you can get for him, because you're not going to be able to take advantage of that scam contract, and you're not going to be able to maximize the years with that guy before you have to pay him. And then if you choose not to pay him, you're basically losing him for nothing. So what Najee Marshall, while I like Najee a lot, and I've always liked Najee, like I have tweets from 2022 saying the Sixers should sign Najee Marshall. I feel like he would fit on a lot of teams. The thing is that he'll probably never be better than this. And if you can get a first-round pick and an expiring contract, a first-round pick and a young or a young player that you might like that fits the Flag timeline more, that's the kind of move that I would do. And I think he's probably going to be one of the better players that's traded at this trade deadline, I would imagine.
So a young player, you mean like Tidjane Salon?
Exactly. Tidjane Salon and your own pick back, but with more protections on it from the PJ Washington trade. No, I want to kind of reiterate what I said was like, the issue is that what teams I'll throw this out there for you. Yep. What teams have a first round pick they would be willing to trade that could use Najee Marshall on their team that's a good team?
I mean, it's a pretty short list.
It's not a lot.
If you get started, I mean, like it's teams like Atlanta, that are kind of a hodgepodge of intentions. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
they might even want to, I don't know what Atlanta wants. I'm going to be honest. Like, so it would need to be like a team like that. Like maybe Orlando. I guess they don't have their picks though, because
every team that I've thought about with them, they just made their big draft pick trade for Desmond Bane. Also, like, they need shooting. Like I know they've added shooting, but like, if Paulo is just going to be this version of Paulo, and then Franz is injured right now, but like Franz is not a reliable shooter. Like, they need everyone on the floor that is not those two needs to be a plus shooter almost. And this is the problem with OKC too, where I'm like, I've heard a few people say like, well, Najee could get traded to OKC. And I'm like, oh, they need shooting. Like, I don't really see a way. And as much as I like Najee Marshall, the problem with trading for him is that you do need to have some sort of infrastructure already in place, and you need to not have. First off, you need a team that needs someone that has the ball sometimes, but not all the time, and someone that will be able to just be plugged in and have spacing around them, which is why I like the Hornets fit for him, because they have shooting everywhere. And there are certain teams that really could use someone like Najee Marshall that have that ability, but the teams that like are good teams, you like really feel like, I feel like they're upgrade. Like the Raptors are another team. Like the Raptors need shooting. Like they can't play a bunch of non-shooters and add Najee Marshall to the mix as well.
Okay, but no picks. Anthony Davis and Najee Marshall for Paolo Banchero. Who says no?
I mean, with the way Paulo's playing right now, I don't think the Mavericks would do it. I'm not even kidding, because he doesn't make any sense with Cooper Flag. It's not to say that Paolo Banchero can't have his career. I know he just had his best game of the season last night against the Cavs, but like, and I know that's probably absurd on its face to say, but I just feel like with the way that Paulo's playing right now, like the Magic really have no choice but to make this thing work. Because at this point, like, first off, they wouldn't trade him in the middle of the season. Yeah. But if they did, like, I don't really see a way that they're making real upgrades unless you do a trade like that and just hope that Anthony Davis can stay healthy.
I think that's the kind of thing the Mavericks should be. Obviously, like that. I'm joking a little bit with that, but like looking around for like a young player that's starting to kind of like flounder a little bit, and like trying to see like, especially one on a team that's got like expectations, like where they suddenly like coaches, front office staff, everybody's kind of on their jobs are sort of on the line and they're kind of on the clock. Can you get some sort of young player in those type of situations, who might be, that's what I would kind of trying to be like looking for if I'm the Mavericks, and I'm offering them like Najee Marshall, Daniel Gafford, like some of these things, like, I don't have to get picks, you know what I'm saying? Which I think, I think if some of these teams have that young player and you can identify them, I think that's a fine swing to take. Like, we're so used to picks being the plus value. I think the new thing might be kind of like looking at a roster and being like, hey, I'd rather have so-and-so, or like my Celtics could kind of use Najee Marshall, like a little bit, like,
I knew you were going to say that, and I hate you for saying it. But because like, at what point does the greed just kind of runneth over? The Patriots are in this fucking Super Bowl again, basically during a rebuilding season, and the Celtics had lost their best player and are still a top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference right now.
Yeah, but the Patriots just look so dominant this whole playoffs. You kind of expect that.
Of course. Of course. I mean, we all could have seen this coming.
They had the hardest road. They had the number 5 defense, the number 1 defense,
the raise your red Patriots.
Yeah, the hardest road, man.
They scored 10 points. Their only touchdown came on a short field, but I think it's time.
Just how good Drake May is, dude. He could win against these great defenses.
Yeah. No, Drake Tebow did play really well during that game. It was honestly really inspiring. Also, I do just want to point out, Adultery Production says here Paulo is poison pilled. I forgot that.
Don't worry, I can figure it out. Don't worry, I'll get in the machine.
Also, you made this about your team. Let me make this about my team for 1 second.
Yeah.
if you wanted to buy low on a young player, Jared McCain would be someone I think actually does fit well with what now I can't gauge what Jared McCain's value is to other NBA teams right now. For example, like it is hard to believe that he was as good as he was last year, has this knee injury, comes back, looks absolutely terrible, and has basically fallen out of the Sixers rotation in year 2. And now the Sixers are trying to compete and potentially win a playoff series or make a run this year. And they don't know if they can rely on this guy at all. And if I were a team like it's funny because someone said, who could be the team that would be interested in Jared McCain that would make sense? And I thought 3 teams, the Bulls, the Pelicans, and the Mavericks would be the 3 teams. And I guess technically the Kings, but the Kings don't really have anyone that I think the Sixers would want.
No.
And I also don't think that the Pelicans sound like they're going to trade Herb Jones, which would be the player. Like the Sixers would have to add stuff to get Herb in that trade. I talked about that a little bit, but like the Bulls with Io, Jalen Smith, those guys that I've mentioned as like potentially guys that could get traded. Najee Marshall on the Mavericks as like a wing upgrade for the Sixers off the bench. There are a few kind of those style trades that I wonder if the Sixers would be willing to make just because it will make the roster make. It's a little bit similar to the Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett for OG Anunoby trade a few years ago, where like the Knicks made their roster make more sense from that. Like, I'm not saying you're getting a player as good as OG for Jared McCain. I'm not saying that at all. But it made their team make more sense because they needed a defensive wing who could hit shots and balance out and play around Jalen Brunson. And like Emmanuel Quickley was never going to play big minutes with Jalen Brunson. Now, like, could you do if the Mavericks were willing to, they did value Jared McCain like a first round pick. Could you do Jared McCain plus Eric Gordon for Najee Marshall, for example? That's what I'm basically trying to say is like, would they be willing to do that? Or maybe, I don't know if they value him. They might think like it was a flash in the pan and he's never going to be the guy he was last year. But if you're looking for guys long-term, like they talked about potentially keeping Max Christie. I agree with that. I think they should try to keep Max Christie.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because Max Christie's been really good for them.
Best player.
Like, yeah. And he's like 22 or 23. Like he's still young enough that he fits the flag timeline. Like I agree with what they're doing there. Marshall, Gafford, and then to a lesser extent, Clay, because I don't know if anyone wants Clay because he's making money again next year. Yeah, exactly. So, so the other guy that I thought of for them, this is kind of going back. This is less of a young player for them and more of a player that I just think this trade made more sense when we thought Anthony Davis was going to get traded, which was basically the Anthony Davis for Karl Anthony Towns just challenge trade.
Yeah.
Cat has a good relationship with Kyrie. He's a spacing big who would probably play pretty well with Flag. And like the expectations is not you're going to win a ton there. And I think any team that Cat goes to, the expectations can't be like, we're going to win the championship. But if he goes to a team that's like, we want to compete, we want to rebuild, and we just want a guy that helps our team a little bit like the Hornets or the Mavs, that could make a little bit more sense to me. Now, I did try to do like Karl Anthony Towns for Daniel Gafford. It was like Karl Anthony Towns for Daniel Gafford, Najee Marshall, and Clay. And I was like, I just don't think the Mavericks would want to do. Because it's like, if you can get a young player and a first-round pick for Najee Marshall and Daniel Gafford and then just ride out the Clay contract, they'd probably rather do that and not take on big long-term money if they're making that kind of trade. I think it was on the table for Anthony Davis. I have a harder time believing it that they would want to trade. The only guys they're going to trade at this deadline for Karl Anthony Towns.
I really do think Dallas is going to be back next year. I think Kyrie is going to help them tremendously if he's even like a fraction of himself. And like Kyrie, like, yes, there's that obviously whenever you're like a 6'2" guard, like there's going to be some athleticism does enter into it coming off a big injury, but like he's probably the most skilled player maybe we've ever had in the NBA. So like, I have a hard time thinking he's just like, even coming off an injury, he's just like not going to be effective. Like,
well, also they're probably adding a lottery pick on top of that. And like, who knows with this draft, if they can jump up into the top 5 and get lucky again, that they might get a true difference maker. And then it's like, all right, now you're starting to hit the ground running with this team that is built around Flag. And like, maybe you can get Anthony Davis's value up for next trade deadline and then kind of move on from there. So, all right, let's pick another team here. I'm going to go with, let's go with the Pistons.
We're already on 3. Wow.
It's hard to believe that we're already on our third team.
Yeah.
I mean, you did drop out for 10 minutes, so I think we're making record time at this point. So I'm putting the Detroit Pistons in the fuck it we ball tier. They should be pushing in the chips as much as they can.
Yeah.
I think that we've talked about them for Michael Porter Jr.
Yep.
Once again, you did say it's hard to kind of figure out who is available at this deadline other than the obvious guys.
Yeah.
This is a team that definitely needs to acquire someone who can shoot.
Yeah.
So I don't think Najee Marshall makes sense for them.
No.
I don't think Daniel Gafford makes sense for them.
No.
Io would make a little bit of sense for them as the upgrade over Jaden Ivey off of the bench. I think I don't want to keep saying the same players, but like if there is a realistic upgrade that can provide them with a little bit of secondary scoring, a little bit of spacing while not being a disaster on defense. People have floated Kobe White for them as someone who could be, I wonder if they have the defensive infrastructure to be able to kind of survive Kobe White, because Kobe White is not a good defender, but he does bring would bring them real offensive juice. And I think in a playoff series, when you need someone that you can rely on that isn't Cade as a perimeter shot creator, he definitely could do that for you. I just wonder how much they're willing to give up on the defensive end, because we've seen that a little bit with Orlando this year. Part of that is injuries. Part of that is just Paolo regressing in a way that we didn't really see coming. But like when they made the Desmond Bane trade, it made sense to me, because it's like Bane isn't going to kill you on defense, but he's going to help your offense.
Yeah.
And like, it takes a little bit to figure out, because you are putting someone who is more of a defense. Like, even Duncan Robinson is not a great defender by any means, but like is a movement shooter that's going to move a ton off the ball on offense. And he's at least big enough to be able to survive in a decent amount of matchups. So I do wonder who they could possibly trade for. Andrew Wiggins is someone, I think, if the Heat decide to go in a different direction, I wouldn't hate that, because that, like, I know Wiggins isn't quite the defender he was a few years ago, but like he's not a total turnstile on defense. And then
no, he's like a decent defender. Like he's just not like locking down the locking down Jason Tatum in the finals is like behind him, I would say.
Yeah. And so like Wiggins would be interesting if he became available. And they've made a trade. They just did the Duncan Robinson for Simone Fontecchio. Like they have a little bit of familiarity with these front offices. If they choose to go in that direction, the Miami Heat, I wouldn't hate adding him as like a secondary scorer. That when Tobias Harris, we just know, I've seen Pistons fans post about this whenever they don't lose much. Like they're a really, really good team. But when they do lose, all I see is Ivy and Karis LeVert and Tobias Harris slander on the timeline. And I do think that it's less likely that they trade Tobias, just because Tobias seems to be pretty important for like their culture and their locker room and shit. But if there's a situation where you need to bench Tobias, it would be really nice to have Michael Porter Jr. Well, Michael Porter Jr., you'd have to trade him. But like Andrew Wiggins, I think they can get up to his salary without including Tobias. There are a few guys I think available, potentially Kobe White, just someone that you can rely on more as your second or third scorer that is not Cade Cunningham or Jalen Duren, and can create shots from the perimeter. And I would be interested to see how he would look in that circumstance. So I think the Pistons should be the one team that is like the one good team that has access to all of their first round picks, basically, that should be pushing in chips.
Yeah. And again, the usual things apply, like they're young enough, like Michael Porter Jr. makes sense with their timeline. He's not an old player. Like, he honestly doesn't have that many miles on him because he was injured so much before he got the back surgery. So like, I feel like he's even kind of, for a guy who's been in the league as long as he has, he's actually probably not that worn. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know. And I think that there is a thing when a team suddenly becomes good like this. I mean, and they didn't suddenly become good, but like I thought that they were going to be cooked without Malik Beasley this year, because Beasley had such an outlier, incredible shooting year last year. And then they just didn't miss the 45% from three, and they've just been
Well,
like
I
incredible.
said
Like,
this coming into the season. I was like, I think Duncan Robinson is just better than Malik Beasley. It's not to say that Malik Beasley wasn't fantastic for them last year. I don't think you're wrong in that regard. I just think that as a all-around basketball player, I think that Duncan Robinson is just better. I think Malik Beasley in a vacuum might be a better shooter than Duncan Robinson, but he could give you some ancillary offensive skills that Malik Beasley didn't necessarily bring to the table. And I actually think he's proven to be pretty important for them so far.
Oh, definitely. No. And I mean, I was watching the Duncan Robinson thing because when I thought the Celtics were going to be bad, I thought they might be like a Sam Hauser team if they needed like to upgrade that spot, but like they've been fine with Duncan Robinson. Like, so, yeah, I mean, the Michael Porter Jr. one is the one that's just kind of staring everything in the face because it helps your rebounding. Upgrade the Tobias spot. Like I understand everybody like loves Tobias and like going from like a culture guy like Tobias to like Michael Porter Jr. asking like how many bodies like Jalen Duren has. Like, that will that help the chemistry? I don't know. Like probably not. That said, like I think you've got they have a real opportunity here. They've been the best team in the East like all year. Like, if you can make the final, I don't think that there is a team. I don't think the West, like, I think people are panicking a little bit too much about the Thunder, but like, like you get in the finals, you have a shot. I've been saying this like all year. Like, there's no reason it's not impossible for Detroit to win the title this year, as crazy as that sounds. Like, and they owe it to themselves to maximize that as much as they can. So,
yep. And I don't think this is a team that's going to be getting better via the draft anymore because they're too good now. So like, to me, I think you have your core, you try to maximize as much as you can with that core and you kind of go from there. Also, I don't know if we've said this on the podcast, but there was rumors. I want to say it was on the Nets Reddit that there were Pistons at a Pistons game. There were Net scouts at the game. So,
okay.
Just worth pointing out. I don't know what that means, but this was like 2 weeks ago. Also, we literally just got another calf strain. Evan Mobley's out 1 to 3 weeks with a calf strain.
Wow.
It is the year of the calf. It is crazy how many of these we've had in the NBA this season.
So the Cavs are probably the 3 seed when he comes back, right?
He's kind of turned things around a little bit. The thing with them is that they've been on a little bit of a heater recently since Darius Garland got hurt, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I think it makes a little bit of sense just because it's like they probably have to play spacers and defenders more, I would imagine, a little bit with him out. And Donovan Mitchell plus that in the regular season is going to be a winning formula, I would imagine. But we'll see what the Cavs end up looking like. I'm going to put them in the stand pat category. I don't really think they have anything they can do. They're in the second apron. They're kind of just stuck with whatever they're doing. They've been better recently. Jalen Tyson cooked the Sixers. He's been awesome the last few weeks. As someone points out in the comments, like I would probably just see what we have with this roster and revisit it in the offseason because like Jared Allen's at the low point of his trade value. They can't aggregate salary. Darius Garland's injured again. I just would kind of ride this thing out, and I would stand pat if I were the Cavs. I don't really have much else to say about them.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
You might be able to do like a Lonzo salary dump to take on a little bit longer money after this, but I think because he doesn't have a guaranteed deal beyond this year, but I don't think there's many guys out there they could get that could make an actual difference.
Do they even have any like unimpacted picks anymore? Because they're like still in the middle of the Donovan Mitchell like payoff, right? Like,
I wouldn't trade any picks until I know what. Yeah. I'm gonna say I think you just got to ride with this team for the rest of the season and kind of go from there. All right, Heat. I'm putting them in the blow it up category, and I'm not doing it. It brings me no joy to say this.
Interesting.
It brings me no joy. Okay, so let me explain what I mean by blow it up.
Okay.
Tyler Hero has a year and a half left on his contract. They don't want to pay him.
Yeah.
Andrew Wiggins, they floated out in trades for basically since the moment they got him.
They got him, yeah.
Norm Powell's having an all-star level season with them. I don't think they should necessarily trade him. He's a free agent after this season, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure that's why the Clippers traded him. Do they want to pay him? They have to figure this out because if I think the surprise team at this deadline that could make quote-unquote seller moves is the Heat. And here's why.
Okay.
What I just laid out And the recent news we've gotten is that they want to remain as flexible as possible in case Giannis says, trade me to the Heat and trade me nowhere else. So could they do, did you hear about the Wiggins Warriors reunion trade?
No, what?
So Mark Stein reported on this like a week ago, but so I can't really tell if this was before or after the Jimmy Butler injury.
Yeah.
Because before the Jimmy Butler injury, it made a lot of sense to me, where it was like you had Wiggins, then you have Steph, Wiggins, Jimmy, Draymond, whoever, like maybe Kuminga and a pick would have made sense, right? Yeah. Well, now Jimmy gets hurt, and it doesn't really make any sense to me because why are you doing that when it feels like this whole thing's over, right? Maybe it's just like they do love Wiggins, to be fair. Like they were like kind of heartbroken when they had to trade him, but I just don't think you should continue to trade future picks for the Warriors unless you are going for like Giannis or someone like that.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe that isn't something that's on the table, but like if that were to happen, I think Miami would be willing to take on Kuminga and get an extra like I think they should be trying to get first round picks for the guys they have on their team, whether it's Tyler Hero, Andrew Wiggins. They're probably not going to trade Norm Powell, but Norm Powell, whoever, to make it so that they have a more appealing offer to the Bucks. Because right now we talked about it, like they sneakily probably have a pretty decent Giannis package, but they need to figure out what the Bucks would want if Giannis asked out this offseason, right? Like they need to figure out like, all right, do they have any interest in Tyler Hero? If they don't, let's try to get something for him. Do they have any interest in Andrew Wiggins? If they don't, let's try to get something for him. So I think they need to rebuild their asset base because they owe a pick to the Hornets. They don't have any extra first because they never trade for first. And I would go the other direction. Now, blow it up might be a little bit dramatic, but this team isn't really going anywhere. Like, I will say, I think Will said this. If they had Jimmy Butler still and Jimmy Butler didn't get injured and whatever, this would be the team that everyone would be saying no one wants to play them because the East is wide open and because they have the playoff rising experience and whatever. But like this team very clearly has a ceiling of first round exit and like potentially not even making it out of the play-in. And if that is the case, then I think you should be preparing for this offseason and next offseason to try to make big moves to make your next iteration of your team, because I just don't really see a way that this team is competing in the interim.
My thing is just like, how are you replenishing your asset base? Because like, as you mentioned, I just don't think that there's value there unless you're trading like Khalil Ware. Like, I don't think that there's is anyone going to want Bam? You know what I'm saying? Like
they're not trading Bam. I mean, it's never happening.
I mean, it's insane, but it's sure.
You're right. If I were running the Miami Heat, I would trade everyone.
Yes,
I want to be clear there. I would be like, we're fucked. like unless they know that a star wants to go there, which they would have more intel on that than we do. Unless they know there's a star out there, whether it's Donovan Mitchell or it's Giannis, but they've been chasing the fucking carrot on the end of the stick for 5 years at this point. Like every year we get a new fucking report about a star that wants to go to Miami and it never happens. So like they have to go in a direction. And I've said it time and time again with them. It makes no sense to me that the team that is the best at drafting in the NBA doesn't value their own draft picks and doesn't ever acquire draft picks.
It's crazy. No, they are literally the fucking the dog. Like he doesn't know he's begging for boiling water from the hot stove. Like that's fucking them every time they ask for a fucking like a star, dude. Think about every star they've tried to like sign, and like they were tied to Gordon Hayward before he fell off a fucking cliff. Damian Lillard, like imagine
DeMar DeRozan.
The Damian Lillard trade would have been DeMar DeRozan. Like they don't have. Like I think if they traded for Giannis, he would play like 19 games a season. Like I'm not even like doing a bit. Like I think that like they need to. Pat Riley is like whoever runs their scouting staff is keeping that front office alive, because Pat Riley is he's not a young player anymore. He goes, oh, I'm 80 years old, took the city by storm. Like he's. You're supposed to be our number one decision maker.
Yeah.
And you're playing like you're sundowning. Like he like needs to get out of there. You know what I'm saying? The entire Spo is keeping that whole thing afloat. Their scouting staff is keeping that whole thing afloat. They need to like understand what this is, which is why I don't think they'll sell, because I don't think that's in Pat Riley's
agreed
boomer.
This is what we think they should do. They're not going to do.
Okay, gotcha. Okay,
yeah.
I mean, yes, they should blow it up. They should trade Bam. They should trade Tyler Hero. I just don't think those guys have like a ton of value. Like, but you know,
I think Bam would have a lot of value.
Yeah, maybe.
But he would. I mean, once again, like these
to a young team, yes.
These 4-5s that like do all of like they are just valued by like Bam is not as good as Anthony Davis was when he was at his peak, but like Anthony Davis, like Jaren Jackson, Evan Mobley, like these are the players, regardless of whether you think they're overpaid, the league will value them.
And can I admit something to you?
What's that?
I'm terrified the Celtics are going to trade for Bam.
What could they even do to trade for Bam?
I don't know, dude, but like I'm hearing about like Jaren Jackson. We've been sniffing around like Jaren Jackson Jr. and like always like talked about how much they like love Bam. Like, I don't know. I agree with you. I don't know how that money would like.
You don't have to worry about that. The Miami Heat would never trade Bam to the Celtics, so you don't. There's nothing you could do to worry about that.
Okay, I hope not.
Also, it's just like completely redundant when Jason Tatum is your best player. Like Jaren Jackson Jr. makes sense to me because like you could be like, all right, he could be like a stretch 5. Tatum can cover up for some of his rebounding issues. We can survive that, right?
Yeah.
Bam makes no sense. Bam and Tatum are like, Bam basically plays like a worse Jason Tatum now. Like really, like when I watch him, I'm like, he's had like 2 good weeks this season. And outside of that, it's like, all right, well, he's not a consistent shooter. He can't score outside the paint. He's still a really good defender, but like at what cost when you have to give him touches on offense and of course he would be great on the fucking Celtics. Like, let's be honest. Like they would fucking figure out a way to make him a demon again. All right, let's go with the Bulls. The Bulls should be sellers.
Like, now they should blow it. Honestly, they should blow it up. I would argue they should blow it up.
All right, let's move into blow it up category because we're not gonna have a ton of players that like I talked about Kobe White, Io, Vucevic, Jalen Smith. Now maybe they keep Jalen Smith because he's young and he's under contract for next year. But like the players that they should not be trading on this team are probably Giddey and Buzelis, and then everyone else should go.
I would just say Buzelis. I think they should trade Giddey.
I agree. Well, to be fair, yes, this is what we would do. And Giddey's on a scam contract. I would definitely. I agree with you, but I don't think they're going to.
No, they're not going to do that. No.
They're going to view Buzelis and Giddey plus whoever they can add via the draft, as their core moving forward. I would imagine. Now we get reports every week. 1 week that they're schizophrenic Bulls. 1 week they're they're buyers. 1 week they're sellers. Like I can't really get a feel on what they're ever gonna do. Has there ever been a Bulls move they've made that you could see coming?
Extending Giddey.
But that wasn't even that bad. They actually kind of did well on that. Now, once again, whatever you think about Giddey as a player it's up to you on how you view that situation. But like every move they make, I go, where did that come from? Like I never can see the moves that they're, and they've actually made some decent fringe moves. Like Trey Jones has been pretty good for them. They got him back on a decent contract. They got him in the, if I remember correctly, they got Trey Jones in the Levine trade, I think. He's been decent for them.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Jalen Smith on the MLE's like completely fine on that contract. Io has actually been really good this year. And I think that he could be of value to a lot of contenders around the league. Just someone that is like,
what would you say he's been a top 100 player?
Io? This season, yeah. Yeah. Probably the first time in his career I would say that though. So that's where we disagreed. I mean, he's been shooting 44% from 3.
I knew he would.
He's been better. Yeah, of course. He's a good one-on-one defender. Like he's a good point of attack guy. And he's also been more of a creator in their offense this year. But if he's on a good team, he's probably a 6-man. Like if he goes to the Sixers or the Celtics or the Raptors or one of those teams, he's probably coming off the bench, but he'll probably be one of the better bench players that's moved at this deadline. Like I think he's had a really nice season. And once again, if I were the Bulls, like I would just consider pretty much trading anyone on the roster because there's other than Buzelis. Yeah. And like Buzelis has kind of figured out some things recently. He's been playing really well as of late, and just make a decision. Like if the Hornets are about, like, let the Hornets pass you. Like go be the 11 seed or the 12 seed or whatever. Get your chance at this lottery, and if it doesn't work, then fucking make moves later that make you into a more competitive team. But this, with the free agency coming up, with the cap space you have, and with everyone basically expiring right now, and you kind of being in this middle ground right now, you can try to get a top 3 pick of this draft. And if you don't, you could try to rebuild the team via free agency and kind of go from there. Now, the thing is, I don't know if there's anyone on their roster that would get a first round pick back, because they fucking sat on their hands for years. Like Kobe would have gotten a first round pick a year ago. No, he's not getting one right now.
No.
Vooch is never someone who was going to get a first.
They had a window though. Remember like when Vooch was playing well, like at the end of was it last year?
It was the beginning of last season, but then remember they tried to trade him at the deadline and no one wanted him.
Well, I think that they were just asking for too much. I think you could have gotten like a pretty good second for him, like at some point.
Second, sure. Yeah. I think they were trying to get a first round pick and they didn't get a first round pick, and they were like, well, we might as well just keep him. And if I remember correctly, the Warriors were like, we don't want Vooch last year. Like they were the only team we could think of that would make a little bit of sense for Vooch, and they pretty much just flat out said they didn't want him. And then like, I don't even know what team could use him this year. Like, maybe the Hornets. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Like I know we just talked about them a little bit. Like he makes $20 million. Like it's hard to imagine a team that's like lining up to trade for Vucevic at this deadline. But I think you just see what's out there with this, and then kind of try to rebuild your team in the offseason based on what you can get. But if I had to imagine, I think they trade Kobe White, and I think they basically do nothing else. I'm just going based on their past.
Yeah,
I'm just going based on their past. I think that's what they end up doing, because Kobe White's going to want like $25 million a year, and they're going to say, we don't want to pay Kobe White $25 million a year, and then they move on.
Yeah.
So
unfortunate.
The Knicks could trade Cat for Vooch and Io. That's just not going to happen. But I wouldn't hate it, but it also is like, I think they would have to take on Patrick Williams' contract in that situation. And if I'm the Knicks, that's just a non-starter for me. Patrick Williams has the worst contract in the NBA, because if you think about it, every other player you say has a bad contract is still a decent player. They might just be injured. Well, yeah, true. But Jordan Poole only has a year and a half left. I'd rather have Jordan Poole for a year and a half than have Patrick Williams for 4 years.
But then after that year and a half, you only have 2 years left, and that's when it starts to be like expiring money. Like
no, Patrick Williams isn't in
the double.
Patrick Williams isn't in the Chicago Bulls rotation, and he makes $18 million a year for the next 3.5 years.
I'm just saying, like, I think there is less of a dollar figure on Patrick Williams' contract than there is on Jordan Poole's contract.
Poole makes like $29 million this year and next, or something like that, or like $30 million or something.
I think it's like 35. It's a lot.
All right, pick a team.
Let's do a fun one. Let's do the Trailblazers, because I have no fucking idea.
Okay.
What would you do if you were the Trailblazers? Like, I don't
stand pat. I don't think there's anything they can do to realistically improve this roster for this year that is worth giving up future stuff. And I don't think that they have players that other teams want.
Did you see the Knicks Drew report?
That's just not going to happen. Like so the part of the reason why they said was because they want Giannis, and Drew and Giannis have a great relationship. But then you're basically trading half your team to match that salary, because you'd have to trade. Now this is what they would do. So I think this is a general landscape of how they would do that trade. They would trade Mikal Bridges to the Blazers for Drew and picks. Then they would flip those picks that are Milwaukee's for Giannis with Cat's contract. But it's just like so complicated to do those kind of trades in the middle of the season that I'm not even entertaining it until the offseason.
Okay. So maybe there's an interest in that down the line. Are you what's you're not looking around to do something with your guard situation if you're the Blazers?
No, because they have Dame next year. I don't care about Damian Lillard, but I know they do. So I just don't know. You're handcuffing yourself basically in that situation. Yeah. Because you're not going to upgrade on your starting guard spot until Scoot's healthy and Dame comes back next year. I don't think they should do anything.
So you don't think they need to make, because Brian pointed this out to me, Young Hansen, okay, on the G League Rising Stars team for All-Star Weekend.
G League Rising Stars team. That
you know who was on the G League Rising Stars team last year?
Mac McClung,
Reed Shepherd.
Oh,
so as pointed out by Brian. So
we are going to get more and more, and I'm still not saying that I'm in on Young Hansen, but what I'm trying to say is that we are going to get more and more guys who just don't play as rookies as the league becomes better. We've talked about this before. Jalen Johnson didn't play as a rookie. Reed Shepherd didn't play as a rookie. Like, you're just going to get more guys when you have this much talent and seemingly pressure with like 25 teams across the NBA with wanting to win. Young players just aren't going to play as much.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we can move on. I know we kind of need.
There's nothing. Like, what? Name me a Blazers trade that makes sense.
I mean, there's not. That's kind of why
that's why I'm like, that's why I would just stand pat if I were that.
Okay.
I would try to keep my pick this year because they owe the Bulls a lottery protected pick. I don't think that they care necessarily which direction it falls in, but I think they would be smart to try to do that.
Okay.
All right, let's go Sixers.
Okay. I think buyers. Yeah. Yeah.
I think if you're ever going to make this thing work, you have to take advantage of Joel Embiid and Paul George right now.
Yeah.
Because
they're only going to get worse. This is about as good as you can hope for either of them.
This is the only chance you get to marry the two timelines, basically.
Yes.
Because Maxey and VJ, they're certainly overtasked when those guys don't play, but when those guys do play, the team's pretty good. It's not great right now. I would say, to me, they're an above average team. They have potential to be a good team, and I think they can kind of hang with anyone in the NBA. I talked about this on our Patreon episode we just did about Joel's return and how much better he's looked recently. I think there are a few guys I named in our episode. I don't think Herb Jones is going to be available at this deadline. Herb would be someone I'd be very interested in. Jalen Smith is someone I would be very interested in if the Bulls make him available. Io potentially is someone who would also be interesting. And then if you want to get more kind of like realistic guys that are like cheaper, Jock Landale, Vince Williams Jr. from the Grizzlies, there are guys out there I think that you don't need to break the bank for to go trade and make real upgrades at this deadline. If they punt on this deadline and the Sixers are healthy in the playoffs and they lose in the first round because they don't have enough good rotation players, then I think you should fire Daryl Morey. Like, I'm literally to the point where it's like, if you're going to sit on your hands at this moment and they have this one opportunity to be pretty good, I think you just need to fire the front office after the year. Because I'm not saying, once again, I don't think they should trade multiple firsts for anyone. I think they should see what they can get for Jared McCain. I think they should see what Andre Drummond and Eric Gordon's salary, those guys, the fringe guys, can get you back via trade. They signed Charles Bassey to a 10-day contract right after we finished recording last time, which I thought was incredible because we literally, like, Charles Bassey is someone who I've been like, isn't this guy like an NBA player for years? I know he played for us at one point. The Charles Bassey game was at our first live podcast I ever did back in 2022, I want to say. Mm-hmm. And the long and short of this is that the Sixers have this opportunity to kind of marry these two eras. And if it only costs Jared McCain, who might not play for you, or if Quentin Grimes is willing to waive his expiring and can get you back someone who's actually helpful and isn't as inconsistent as he is. These are all things you need to explore. I think they have the four guys that are obvious with Joel, Paul George, VJ, and Maxey. I would say Oubre has played too well to consider moving him, but you need to have someone who, when Oubre doesn't have it, you can close with someone else, because Oubre is someone who Nick Nurse loves. Like, he loves Oubre. And when Oubre is hitting shots and defending his ass off, he's a real asset to this team. And when he is being left wide open in the clutch and being forced to be a creator and the other team is forcing the ball into his hands, he's not someone that you can always rely on in that situation. So like I laid out, like Jared McCain, Najee Marshall, those kind of moves. If you're not going to play McCain, you need to see what's out there for him. And I hope that he can bounce back with this team, but it's not looking really good for them right now. So I would say Sixers should absolutely be buyers, but I don't think they should break the bank to go get anyone, because you want to try to keep as much draft ammo as you have moving forward in case things don't work. And you also want to continue to kind of look at the second window with Maxey and VJ maybe 2 years from now. So you don't go crazy making trades. But if there is the right player, you should absolutely go for it. Herb Jones is the pipe dream, but he's probably not going to get traded. And then the other guys I laid out are probably a little bit more realistic at this deadline. So,
well, all those other guys, you got to be better than Demon Dom Barlow. That's the
standard. I love Dom. If Dom was our eighth man, I would feel so good about this team. If Dom is our fifth starter, or like first guy off the bench, I'm a little bit worried. Like, he's still, teams are fine leaving him wide open. He can't shoot. And like, he's really good when everyone is healthy and like being a glue guy, but he is someone everyone on the Sixers, other than the four best players, are just wildly inconsistent. And they need to have at least one guy that they feel comfortable as that fifth guy that they can plug in on an everyday basis that will just make more sense for this team. So let's go Spurs. I'm putting the Spurs in the buyers category.
Yeah.
Don't think they should be breaking the bank either. They have such a long timeline to figure this thing out. But if the right player is out there, the Spurs are good enough that they can win a playoff series, if not make the conference finals in the right matchups. I think Wemby is a game-changing player. We've laid that out time and time again. They have a bunch of mid-sized contracts that they can easily move. And they've hit some bumps in the road recently, but I like their long-term outlook. And I think if you can get a playable forward, once again, it seems like every team wants that. Every team's like, can we just get like a 3 or a 4 who can play in a playoff series? If there's someone out there, I know we've laid out a few so far. Andrew Wiggins, Najee Marshall probably doesn't make sense for them because of the shooting. Michael Porter Jr. is the real swing they could take. I don't think it's likely that they trade for him, but I do think that that's someone that should be on their radar.
Baylor Shireman, another one. Like, that'll cost them a first, but like,
Sure.
Yeah, to get a shooter like that.
Well, before the Celtics were playing the way they did, Sam Hauser was a guy that did make a lot of sense for them. But I don't know if they're going to end up trading Sam Hauser at this deadline.
I don't even think we're going to trade Anthony Simons anymore. I don't even know.
All right, so do you want to put them in Stan Pat category then?
The Celtics?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would be crazy to me that I've been so like sure they were going to duck the tax this year, but like I think they're just going to swallow it. I think they cut enough money. I think they're just going to be in the repeater for the rest of Jason Tatum's career, dude. Like, which is crazy to do. Like, but
even with the apron rules.
I mean, I don't know, like, what is your other option? This is the best chance you have to reset the repeater, is like this season, next season, because it's like not going to hurt you that much. This is like found money, and it would be pretty easy to like trade Simons for like somebody who's like.
See, I disagree.
Really?
I don't think it's going to be easy to trade Simons and duck the tax. Everyone keeps saying this about the Sixers, but like every cap person I've talked to is like, it's not going to be easy to duck the tax at this deadline, because I think a lot of teams don't want to take on money, even if it's expiring. Like, now
We would take on money. Like we would absolutely take on just a smaller figure that would
So
roll
like a
over
longer,
next year.
smaller figure, but like
Yes.
how do you get off 25 million or whatever
You
he
trade
makes
with the
every year?
Nets. You trade with the Nets.
But the
You
Nets are
get
the
Terrence
only
Mann.
team, they're the only team that can facilitate trades, is what I'm trying to say.
Sure, but like we're probably going to be one of the only teams when in the dumping ground that's going to be okay with taking back Terrence Mann. So it's really only like $8 million or whatever it is, or like $7 million, and like they could still take on more money. You know, like it's
Okay,
not like
we'll
that
see.
would be their only. I mean,
I'm betting on them not being able to easily move Anthony Simons' contract.
I don't think that's I think the issue is they kind of want Anthony Simons, which is crazy to me. Like that's what I've heard is they actually kind of like Anthony Simons and they might like just keep him because like things are going well. And I'm like, I don't know, man. Like I get it, but like I don't think the Celtics end up it's not the Celtics MO to like go out and like buy like Zubac or something like people who are looking for like the center upgrade. That's not happening this season.
See, that's what I thought. I thought they were gonna end up just doing a thing where it's like, oh, where they could sell it to the fans, right? Where it's like we traded Anthony Simons into the Nets cap space, but we added a first round pick and we sent seconds to the Nets and we got Daniel Gafford or something. You know what I mean? Like someone that was just like made less money, but also allowed. But like there's just so few guys out there that make so much less than Anthony Simons that you can duck the tax entirely. Like Mann is probably one of the few, if they did that trade, that would make sense financially. I don't know. Like, I think the Nets cleared all this cap space to facilitate other trades.
They did. No, they absolutely did. I mean, but like, I'm just saying, like, I
think eats up like all their space though if they do that, right?
I don't think so. I think it's only like $6 or $7 million, and I think the Nets have like more than that.
So how do you know how much over the cap they or over the tax they are? Because like the Sixers would have to dump, like even if the Sixers dumped Eric Gordon, Andre Drummond, and they got back nothing, they would still be in the tax. So like the Sixers would have to dump like Grimes, who has to waive his no trade clause, Kelly Oubre. Like they almost can't dodge the tax entirely unless they are willing to make one of those trades. And they love Kelly Oubre. It's kind of similar. Like I know Oubre has been playing better recently, but like it's kind of similar to the Simons thing you're talking about, where like everything I've ever heard is they love Kelly, and I don't see them being able to get Grimes to waive his no trade clause, and then they can't dodge the tax. Like they would have to do, even if, because they're just too close to the tax. Like it's just going to be hard for teams to dodge the tax at this deadline, I think.
I was wrong. It is 12 million, so it is a pretty significant figure. Like it would eat up. They would only have 3 million in cap space left, so they probably wouldn't do that.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I just everyone like Jonathan just said it's going to be Oubre and Drummond for bums. Who's taking the contracts though? You have to have willing people that are willing to take on money at this deadline, and I just don't see that many teams out there that are like maybe the Mavericks, because like the Mavericks want to get off longer money, and maybe you take like a small, but it's once again it's hard to pull off.
The Nets I think also have their room exception, which I think you can
you can do that now. That is the one factor.
Yeah.
That if you're trading like a $6 million contract or a $7 million contract like the Oubre and Drummond thing, if you can find someone who has an MLE and just take that and you send them seconds, that's the one situation where it's workable. But once again, they have to be willing to spend the money. And I just don't think a ton of teams are going to be looking to spend a lot of money at this deadline. So
no, probably not. But I don't know. I'm still watching that, because I do think the Celtics would consider like giving up a first round pick to like reset that money. Like because it's just so advantageous to them, like, and their like long-term viability. But I don't know.
Yeah. Or at least cutting down on, because I think that's what the Sixers are going to do. I think they're just going to dump Eric Gordon for nothing and convert everyone so they can cut their tax bill in half, but like still stay in the tax. So let's just run through a few of these. The Wizards have already made their move. They're standing pat. They don't really have anyone to trade either. Like I don't really see them.
Yeah.
The Nets, let's put the Nets in sellers.
Yeah, they're like the most obvious sellers. Yeah. They have the most interesting guys to trade. Like, is there a Nick Claxton team? I was like trying to figure that out. Like,
so Claxton's tough because he's a really good defender, and but he's a non-shooter who also isn't a good rebounder for a big.
Yeah.
So like, what team has the infrastructure to support Nick Claxton as their center?
I mean, funnily enough, the Knicks are probably the best fit, which is kind of a funny one. If you wanted to get him for the long term, no, that's never mind. I was gonna say the Mavericks, but I keep forgetting about Lively because he just hasn't played.
The Lakers would make a lot of sense for him, just because him playing with Luka would be pretty good. But once again, I do think it's a team that needs to be able to play double bigs.
Yes, no, it does, and you know who could would be because then the rebounding would be terrible. I was gonna say Memphis, but like that would be the worst rebounding team of all.
They also have Edie, like they love Edie. Like I don't think that they're moving on from him. I have a hard time finding. I think Claxton's just a guy that ends up staying with the Nets. I think Michael Porter Jr. and Day'Ron Sharpe are probably the guys, and maybe if anyone wants Cam Thomas.
I think Cam Thomas will be. He's retiring a net, dude.
We've talked about the Michael Porter Jr. trade ad nauseum, so I don't want to dive into that further. The Warriors are obviously off the board, but like the Spurs, the Pistons, those teams will still be interested in him.
Yeah.
The other team that someone did say, and we've said this a lot in the past, and I highly doubt it because of the Jonte Porter situation, but if the Raptors are looking to save money, and they've been connected to Sabonis because they clearly don't want to give up too much, and they want to just like take back like another quote unquote like bad contract. The Michael Porter Jr. fit on the Raptors is actually
so good. It would be so good.
Rob Flom was actually the one who pointed this out, where it's such a clean fit because they want to go small. Scotty, CMB, Michael Porter Jr. front court, Manuel Quickley, Brandon Ingram back court. The they could do like, it would have to be like RJ Barrett. I don't even know if they could get there with like Ochai Agbaji and other salaries.
I think they should just do Ingram.
They're not going to do that though. So
they should.
But my thought was if they didn't sign the Jakob Poeltl contract, we will talk about that for the next 3 years as they're stuck with it, because it is just I don't want to continue to reiterate the things we've already talked about, but it is one of the more mind-boggling extensions in recent memory. But like if they could piecemeal together those contracts, I think it's ultimately too tough to do that, but that would make so much sense for them. And honestly, if you're the Raptors, are you a buyer?
I mean,
it's just hard to imagine a trade they can do that
I'm not a buyer, but I'm trying to like make my books less stupid. Like
that's what they're trying to do, but I don't see a trade. Like it's every trade they get linked to. I'm like, so for example, let's talk about the Sabonis rumors because we didn't talk about them.
Yeah.
The Sabonis one, which it comes from some like somewhat reliable reporters that they've been interested in, like, but that would have to be like RJ Barrett, Jakob Poeltl, and Ochai Agbaji for Sabonis. And like, the Kings are really going to take on 5 years of Jakob Poeltl with a bad back as he enters his 30s? Like, I think they're just stuck with that contract.
Honestly, yes, probably, but
I don't think they would.
No, maybe not. I don't. Well, I mean, how many picks are the Raptors giving up? Like,
that's what it would come down to. It's like, how much do you value Raptors picks, and how many are they willing to give up to like get off that contract? Because
you have to add picks to that package. I mean, if you're getting Sabonis, like that
if I were the Raptors, I would rather have RJ than Sabonis.
I agree.
Yeah, I think RJ's like proven to be like a pretty decent player for them.
Send them Brandon Ingram to complete the Hooper Anarchy squad, and then the Kings can trade for Cam Thomas.
Now, like oh God,
Cam Thomas, Brandon Ingram, DeMar DeRozan.
I'm gonna be sick.
Hooping, Hooper heaven. Zach LaVine.
Ugh. You know what's really funny is a lot of people are down on Keon Ellis, and I understand why, because I've talked about with Keon Ellis where it's like, how many playoff players are 175 pounds? Like, it's just hard to imagine, right? Like, those guys get played off the court constantly in the playoffs, unless you're like the elite of the elite as like a shot creator or whatever.
Right.
But I'm also like, are we not seeing like, not that the Bulls are any better than they were before, but like their role players look a lot more normal without Levine and DeMar. like
Yeah.
Keon Ellis not being good this year does not necessarily, like, he doesn't get consistent minutes.
Yeah.
And he's playing on a team that just makes literally no fucking sense at all.
But he's a guy you should target. I think like he's a classic, like, bad circumstances, try to buy low. Like, I would be calling them every day.
The two teams I think he would make a lot of sense on that have been connected to him. My thing is, if your best player is a guard, don't trade for Keon Ellis.
Yes.
Because like he doesn't make any sense on the Sixers. I've seen him get connected. I'm like, we can't play another guy who's like 175 pounds, even if he's like a good defensive playmaker and he can make open shots. Like I just think that if you're a team, the three teams that I've seen get connected to him that make a little bit of sense for me are the Magic, the Celtics, and the Wolves, because they have the infrastructure to support. They're built around wings and bigs, basically. And if you're building your team around wings and bigs, someone like him, who is a non-creator that can be more of a glue guy on each end of the court, makes a lot more sense to me. And also, he's not a primary like point of attack defender, so you can have him roam off the ball. He would be good for those teams, but there's not a lot of like I saw him get attached to the Pacers. I don't think he makes any sense for them. The Sixers, he doesn't make any sense for them. Like, I think it needs to be a team that has like a ton of size and has primary defenders where he can be maximized and just be kind of a role glue guy that fits in wherever he goes. But I don't know. Like, I think the Raptors should be like, I would be trying to make my team better if I were the Raptors. I wouldn't be once again, I wouldn't be breaking the bank, but I do agree that they should they're going to try to like save money, basically.
I almost
they're in the
wouldn't
second apron next year.
I wouldn't like. Here's my thing with the Raptors and where I go different. Like, I know the Raptors are the 3 seed or whatever they are.
They're the 4 seed.
The 4 seed. They don't have a chance to win the East. Like, I'm sorry. They're like the team. They're the like one team in like the top 5 where I'm like, there's no way.
Could they win a playoff series though?
They could win a playoff series, sure. They're not winning the East. My point is, I'm not trying to make this season better.
Sure.
If I'm the Raptors, I don't give a shit.
Your books are
trying to maximize Scotty is like my
sure.
mission. Like, because Scotty is him. You know, it looked rough there for a little bit. I got very nervous. I started calling him Ben Simmons.
Mm-hmm.
I started making the Ben Simmons comparisons. You've just got to, you know, I think you need to make a trade that makes the money make more sense. And I don't think
we'll put them in stand path then.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with what you're saying though.
Yeah.
The contracts they're just kind of stuck for now.
Yeah. By the way, quick tangent while we're doing Belichick did not make the Hall of Fame.
What?
He did not a first ballot Hall of Famer. He did not get enough votes, which is very funny to me.
Bill Belichick
only got 40 of the 50 votes he needed to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. This is crazy.
Is the BMM dying?
I mean, that's like, even if you think like Deflategate is real, that's still like an insane thing. Like, this isn't the baseball Hall of Fame. This is the Pro Football Hall of Fame. They would put me in there if I fucking wrote a good enough article. Like,
that is legitimately absurd.
Yeah, isn't that fucking awesome, dude? Like,
I mean, that would be like if Popovich didn't get it in the NBA.
Why are you not? Like, I get, like, look, I understand the Patriots like antagonize a lot of people. We're an evil franchise. I'm not disputing any of that. Like, we probably cheated.
We've seen the dark magic play out the second half of the other day. The whole time people were like, oh man, if Denver could, I'm like, this game is over. I was like, second that Stidham fumbled that ball and the Patriots scored, I was like, this game's over. Yeah. They will. It does not matter what the Broncos do; they miss their chance.
Dude, it really did. It is so funny that like the second you finally, the Chiefs are like holding onto the door frame as you like kick them out and stay out, and then fucking the Patriots reapparate hello, like fuck.
It's literally been. I think someone said that like it's been what 12 years of one of the Patriots or the Chiefs being in the AFC Championship game or something.
Yeah, it's very. I would be. Bills fans are gonna be
I can't even with that shit, dude.
It's rough, man. No, but that I just thought that was like insane to like not have. He's the winningest coach of all time, right? Didn't he catch?
Has to be. No, he didn't. He never caught. He
never
retired before. What was it? Shula was number one.
Yeah, he never caught Don Shula.
Nah, he's two though.
Second winningest coach of all time.
6 championships.
With 6
and by the way, was a defensive coordinator on one other championship team, I think, with the Giants. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
It's absurd. That is
so funny.
That is absolutely absurd.
Oh, he's won 8, dude. That's so funny. He's won 8 Super Bowls. Like, fuck you.
That's incredible, dude.
That's so awesome, dude.
America and the BMM, 2 dying empires.
Yep, they're gone.
All right, let's go. I can't believe I'm saying this.
Yeah.
The Jimmy Butler injury. No, you got Warriors have to stand pat. Sorry. There's nothing they can do.
I mean, if it's what I would do, I would start selling now. Steph, you are a Charlotte Hornet. Like, I'm not kidding. I would right now, if I were the Warriors, I would trade Steph to the Hornets. I would get LaMelo Ball back and a couple first-round picks and start the rebuild. Build around come.
Yeah, I mean,
Brian Johnson would love.
They're not going to do that. And also, I kind of just think that you should let this thing ride out. What are you really going to get for anyone? And you're not trading Steph.
Who's trading for Al Horford?
They have no one. Oh, cool. We got a 2nd-round pick for DeAnthony Melton. Awesome. Like, it's not.
Like even the guys that they could I think somebody might give up like a good second for like Quentin Post, but he's gonna be like kind of important.
Yeah, I'm just like
again,
let's ride this out. Try to get Steph as much help as he possibly can, and then I don't even is Draymond worth something?
He's worth something to you for your LeBron plan next year.
I literally think that they're gonna try to get LeBron this summer, and I think that's gonna be their sell to Steph. Did you see Vecini's pitch on Giannis, the Giannis trade for the Warriors? So if he were the Bucks, he said, and it got to this offseason, and he said, I can get that 2029 first, 2031 first, 2032 first from the Warriors. That's the team I'm betting against long term. And I was like, if you're just going for draft picks, he might not be wrong.
Yeah.
But I feel like if they get Giannis, they're just going to get away with something else.
I don't know. I think it's over.
Cam Newton here or here?
Yeah, I know.
It will never be over here. You've seen that clip, right?
Yeah, I've seen that.
It will never be over here.
Yeah. It should be over here. It should be over here, here.
I agree with you, but if the Bucks call them and they say, we'll take Jimmy Butler's salary, we'll take whatever young players you can throw in, Pods and Post and whoever, and we'll also take every draft pick you can trade in 29, 2031, 2032, like all of those picks, because they can only trade swaps in the off years, I think. 29 and 31 because they already traded the 2030 pick, and then they could trade 2032 unprotected. Like it was interesting to me at a minimum. Like if you're just going for draft picks, interesting to me. I'm just saying Giannis is going to be 31.
No,
Steph is going to be out of the NBA soon.
I'm not saying for the Bucks. I'm saying for the Warriors. The Warriors shouldn't do that. You're not going to win anything, dude. Like, and Giannis, we've been over. Giannis is kind of a risk now, dude. Like I don't know. I wouldn't do that if I were
That's
the Bucks.
Fair. Yeah. Okay. So
if I were the Warriors, I definitely do it if I were the Bucks.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Speaking of the Bucks.
Yeah. It's time.
I put them in the sellers category, and this doesn't even have to do with Giannis. I think they have players that other teams would be somewhat interested in, but not really. The problem with the Bucks selling is like Gary Trent Jr. is having the worst year of his career. And then you have like Kuzma and Portis, and like they don't really have trade value. And like, are you trading Miles Turner? That's the problem, is that they're probably going to end up standing pat just because what else can they do? Like Giannis being out just means they're going to suck for the next few weeks.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't really make any sense to, I mean,
and then they're not going to be able to
if
make
the writing is on the wall, like, would you trade Ryan Rollins if you know you're going to trade Giannis? Like, or do you
I would probably
staff
I'd probably keep Ryan Rollins. Now look, Ryan Rollins makes like $6 million a year, and he's probably like a $25-30 million player. But he's young enough that, like, if I get someone else, like, even if it's Karl Anthony Towns or someone, you know what I mean? I would to be clear, I would consider it and see what's out there. But if you are trading Giannis, everyone should be traded on this whole roster. Like, potentially. Like, you should be considering trades for Turner, trades for Rollins, trades for everyone, and just blow it into smithereens. Also depends, can you get your picks back? If you can't, what direction do you go in? Do you trade Rollins for some of your picks back? I didn't even think of that scenario. Have you thought about that scenario? Because the Blazers with Ryan Rollins, and they have like 3 of their picks, I think. It's interesting. Scoot.
I'm doing the Timberland, like,
Scoot in their picks for Ryan Rollins. Like, yeah.
I kind of like that. I don't know. I kind of like that. Anyway, yeah.
But at a minimum, limited. They should
nobody else has trade value.
Yes.
Like,
but they should be seeing what they can get and maybe getting seconds for guys at this deadline, and then just tanking for the rest of the year and hoping that you can get lottery luck.
Laughing at Rusty Shackle Bro says, "Is it Miles Turner in trade rumors again?"
It is inevitable.
Yeah, dude.
It's inevitable that Miles Turner will just forever be in trade rumors. Forever for the rest of the time.
How big is his contract? Like
20 30? No, it's like 24 million a year or something. He could still be like, he could definitely help some teams.
Is it bigger than Anthony Simons? It's not. Just saying. Pretty interesting. Anthony Simons could cook. He could be.
The Celtics have been interested in Miles Turner in the past, right?
They have. We were there like 2 years ago. Like,
one of the few teams where I think the rebounding issues wouldn't really matter.
The issue is if for the Bucks to do that, they have to be convinced it's over, because they're not trading it.
Yeah, they're not doing it at this deadline, but at this offseason, if they trade Giannis, that's probably something that will be revisited.
Yeah.
Miles Turner to the Hornets. If you could play him in double big lineups, maybe with Diabate.
He might. I think he'd be kind of miserable there. He wants to cook a little bit, you know. Like, we could give him a couple possessions to like cook. You know what I'm saying? Like, Derek White doesn't like need to, you know, cook. You know, Joe Mazzulla would probably show him like ISIS beheading videos and be like, "This is like this is the spirit of what I want you to do out there," and then like, you know, get him to buy into like taking like 3 less shots a game.
That seems like something that would really motivate someone like Miles Turner.
Everybody seems to love Joe Mazzulla and all their stories. All the stories are like, yeah, he showed us this TikTok of what your brain does when it dies, and we all thought that was really cool.
So I just want to, before you address Brian's fucking BMM comment, Brian of all people tried to say that the BMM doesn't exist. I'm like, brother, you are a creation of the BMM. You're constantly spreading propaganda in our comments about Boston. Boston is the center of the universe. Also, I just want to point out, has Brian ever been wrong? Let's go back. No, I mean, it's the same thing as we said about Republicans being wrong, though. It's the Lakers thing all over again. Oh, yeah, no, I wanted them to suffer, and they did. Yeah. By the way, he did point out in this comment, Kyle Anderson would be involved.
That was the other one that
if you get Kyle Anderson for Simons going to the Jazz and then whatever. Shout out to Kyle Anderson, by the way. One of the few NBA players who used his platform to speak out even before the NBA PA said something. Obviously, he has the connection to Minnesota. I do really appreciate him, Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah, Halliburton owns
Wemby. Anyone who spoke out, Larry Nance Jr., power to them. Really appreciate you using your platform to speak out, because it is extremely important right now that people are look, fucking, we talked about it on the Patreon episode. You know how we feel about this shit. I don't want to go on a long rant about it. There are people that could speak better about this, but I just appreciated seeing people speak out against our fascist government. murdering citizens in the street. I think that should be a bare fucking minimum that people are doing right now. But anyway, there's someone who calls Deuce McBride Sam on Knicks Twitter. Whenever he plays bad, he calls him Kilos. His name is Miles.
Miles
Kilos.
Kilograms. Yeah, kilograms.
Kilo. And Miles Turner, if I were a Bucks fan, I would be calling him Kilos the whole season.
Kilos.
Because he's been very even when Giannis plays, like he's been fairly disappointing for what they thought they were going to get. But also, like, once again, I've said this before with like the Bucks roster is just like, it is harder now to win with like 3 good players or 2 good players than it ever has been. And it's not to say that stars don't matter, because stars still absolutely matter, especially when I think you get to the playoffs and stuff. But the weak link theory is taking W's. It's a lot of W's this year with the weak link theory, where like some of these teams are just like 1 star and like the Pistons are like 1 or 2 stars and like a ton of guys that just do dirty work around them. And I think your roster making more sense nowadays means more than just having, 2 or 3 really good players. And the Bucks are kind of proof of that even when Giannis plays, like they're just not as good as they used to be when they were able to kind of coast on the, the strength of Giannis being one of the 3 best players in the NBA. And then without him, they're just a complete wreck. So they should consider everything at this deadline, I think. But do we want to talk about the Clippers?
Let's do it, dude. Fuck it. Let's go.
Well, I think they're kind of in stand pat. What can they do?
Yeah, they don't have anything. They don't have anything, though.
But they have expirings, which could be valuable. John Collins has been playing too good for them, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think they'll move him.
But they have Bogdanovich. They have other contracts that are... If you had asked me this 3 weeks ago, I would have put them in the sellers category and said, trade Derek Jones Jr., trade Chris Dunn, trade John Collins, move on, see for next year. But now that John Collins is playing well for them, Kawhi's balling the fuck out, they're making their way back into the playoff picture, and they could potentially make the playoffs. Like, I don't think they should be buyers, but I think they should definitely see what's out there, and they should try to see if they could turn that Bogdan expiring into a legit player at this trade deadline that might be able to help them off of the bench or something like that. I think that it's been very impressive how they've turned their season around. And honestly, we all clowned them when they did the Chris Paul thing. Were they cooking? They'll probably trade Chris Paul at this deadline, I would imagine.
I'm hearing Pablo Torre has been found dead in Miami. This is dude, is no punishment coming? It seems like they just kind of like ignored it.
Why would you? Like, it's just, it just feels like it's such a bad look for the NBA to not do that. But also, like, what if they're like, can we just ignore this and hope it goes away? Why not? Like, does anyone really give a shit? Like, does anyone really give a shit?
No.
Think about it.
I mean, no one cares. Nobody wants to set this precedent. Honestly, I mean, like, look, probably a bad example, but it's the same reason Donald Trump didn't go to jail, because the politicians didn't want to set the precedent for you can be held accountable for what you do in office. Even when like what he did is so much more brazen and crazy, they still don't want to open that can of worms. I feel like owners are kind of in the same vibe. They really want people snooping around, seeing how they're getting these guys to sign this shit. Like,
well, I also talked about this before, where it's like, in today's world where there's so much more important stuff going on that is like actually affecting people's lives, like, it really feels like that is such a small thing. Like, I feel like if they just never addressed it again, everyone would just move on. Like, you said it at the time, you're like, nothing's going to happen. And I was like, something probably will happen. And I'm like, yeah. I think nothing ever happens is winning in this situation.
Yeah, this is a rare nothing ever happened. We've had some things have happened this year.
A lot of things have happened in the last fucking year. Let's be honest with ourselves here. That they've been taking L's left and right, but in the NBA,
nothing ever happens. So
yes, it is. But let's just put them in stand pat. But I would consider trying to see if I could upgrade on the Bogdan spot for sure. So another team I'm going to put in stand pat, the Hawks. They can just wait. They might get a top pick in this draft. They might be able to kind of move forward with their young core in the future. Don't spend future assets. Don't trade for Anthony Davis. I would feel good about the Hawks if I wouldn't want to touch my roster until I see what happens with that pick. Now, the Pelicans being more competitive with like Herb Jones and Trey Murphy and those guys recently, Yves Missy's been playing well. That makes me a little bit nervous for like how good can they get. But the Bucks also having the bottom fall out with them potentially with this Giannis injury basically guarantees that they're going to get a top 10 pick in this draft. And I'm feeling really good about the Hawks, and I would not touch my roster.
Yeah,
at all
no, they're the definition of stand pat. Like, just keep chilling. This all this shit couldn't have gone better for you, man. Like,
yeah, you won.
Yeah,
you won just based on literally just sitting back and waiting for things to come to and happen.
Well, you know what's funny is that they're having like a pretty disappointing season, and like
no one cares.
No one gives a shit because they've just gotten so lucky in like the other.
They traded their arguably the best player in the history of their franchise, and no one cares.
Yeah, no one cares.
Like, you know how hard it is to pull that off, even with the way that things have gone with Trae Young over the last few years. To be able to trade a fan favorite
for nothing, basically,
for literally for salary relief.
Yeah,
and then have everyone be like, "Yeah, it's fine." That a lot's riding on that pick, though. I will say that much. They got to get someone with that pick, because otherwise, then the questions start to pop up. Even though Jalen Johnson's been awesome and they have some things to look forward to with the Kongwu and Naw and all those guys. Like I think that they have an exciting young core moving forward. So Lakers. The Lakers, you know what keeps popping up with the Lakers is that fucking Suns style trade they want to do, where they want to get like 3 bad firsts for their unprotected 2031 pick. And I just don't get it at all. Are they basically trying to do their version of what they did a few years ago, where they got D'Angelo Russell, Jared Vanderbilt, and Malik Beasley at the deadline, and Rui Hachimura?
I mean, if they are, I don't think that's going to happen for them.
But what I'm trying to say is that they traded 1 first-round pick, and then a few seconds it got 4 rotation players.
Yes, they did.
Now, it didn't work out long-term because none of those got, like, D'Lo's gone.
Yeah.
The Dorian Finney-Smith, who they traded with for D'Lo.
Jared Vanderbilt's one of the worst contracts in the NBA. Like,
yeah. Rui is really the only, like, slight W, because Beasley was gone immediately after that. He's really the only slight W, and like Rui's fine. Like, he's a fine player. But like, what the Lakers want to do is they clearly want to take that pick and trade it for like 3 bad firsts, the unprotected pick for like 3 bad firsts, and then try to turn that into like multiple rotation players. But there's just no one at this deadline that I think, like, they just have to wait until LeBron's expired and they have cap space this summer and potentially more the next summer, and figure it out from there. Like, I think that I would punt on this. I would just stand pat if I were them.
Yeah, I agree.
They'll probably make fringe moves. They'll probably trade like Gabe Vince's expiring for someone. They'll probably trade like Maxi Kleber's expiring for someone, but it's not going to be anyone who really makes a difference.
I don't think they will, because I don't think those moves are going to be out there. I think those moves are going to be teams that are going to be more motivated, and I think they're not going to want to. And I don't think they should. I think they're just going to do nothing.
It's possible. It's definitely possible. Yeah. So are the Magic and others? I think they're another spam pad team. Tyus Jones is really the only, and Boga is really the only guys.
What do they even have available for, like, Anthony Black's been like his development's been like really good for them. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. What do you even get for them? Because kind of the problem with this team is just Paolo's weird. Like,
and they need Franz to get healthy.
Yeah.
It's kind of it.
So I don't think there's anything to do, to be honest.
Can they trade Mosley at Adultery? He's a Magic fan, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to point out here, I think he's going to get fired.
Yeah, almost
like
certain.
I think by the All-Star break he will be, or during the All-Star break he will be fired.
Yeah.
Like, if every coach right now, look at every team here, who are the most likely guys to get fired?
I mean, he's the top
number one by a mile, which is funny because coming into the year we're like, I think he might win Coach of the Year if the Magic are good.
Yeah,
and it went in the exact opposite direction.
Yeah. I think the Kings guy, even though I know it's like his first year on the job, like he's probably another one who's probably it's not going well. Doc, they owe Doc so much money, and he's such a survivor politician that like probably not.
By the way, I was listening to Ringer Fantasy Football Podcast today.
Yeah,
and they were doing a whole segment on Mike McCarthy, and they were like, he's a politician. He's coasting on Hall of Fame talent that he coached in the past. He's trying to say he developed these guys when it was Dak Prescott, who was already good, and Brett Favre, who was and Joe Montana when he was with the Chiefs. Yeah. And this whole time I'm like, this is literally Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers, yeah.
It is literally the same exact guy. Like McCarthy, one title.
Hire him? Like who hired
Steelers?
Him? The Steelers hired him. That's so funny.
The Chicago Bulls of the NFL, the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are just, instead of the play-in, it's the wild card round for the Steelers for the last decade. Basically, they're going to get smoked in the first round. And they hired Mike McCarthy, and I was like, this is literally, they just hired Doc Rivers, but the NFL version of that. But it's just unbelievable. So apparently one of the things Mosley has done is he refuses to play Jace. He's played Tyus Jones over him this whole season. If I were them, I don't know if you would consider this selling. I would trade. To me, it's just like you got to get Tyus Jones off the team. If you're not going to fire the coach, trade Tyus Jones and get literally whatever you can back for him, because playing Jace or scaling up the younger guys' minutes is probably their best chance at reaching another level, I think, this season, because the Paulo thing just needs to figure itself out. He needs to sink or swim for the rest of this year. They need to get healthy, and they need to kind of revisit things in the offseason. I do think they have potential to be, if they get healthy, they have potential to be the scary, no one wants to play them team in the first round. But I don't really see them having, someone asked earlier if the Cavs could be that team. Maybe, but everyone I think is going to kind of think that the Cavs are playoff frauds until they prove it. Yeah. And not that the Magic have proven anything. I don't even think they've won a series. No. But I do think that, like, I would not love to have them if I were the 1 seed or the 2 seed as my matchup in the first round, if everything breaks right for them. But I would say, I think Mosley is the most likely to get fired. I would be shocked if Doc got fired this year, just because they owe so much money to. Are they still paying Adrian? Like, does Adrian Griffin coach anywhere?
I don't think so. No, right? Like, do you go back to college?
I think he's just not coaching, right? So they're probably still paying him.
Lonesome Dove Chapel in Texas.
2 years later, the ownership loves Doc. Like, I don't think they're going to fire Doc until at least this offseason. He got like a 5-year contract from them, bro. He's only 2 years into it. Yeah, they're going to pay a bunch of money. They've already done the Damian Lillard thing. They paid the tax in the past. Like, I just don't see a way that they're going to be able to justify that, dude. Yeah. So
speaking of disaster contracts that for coaches that might get fired after 1 year, what about the Knicks?
I think they should be stand pat. I think they'll trade Yabu and seconds for like whoever.
Yeah.
At this deadline, but like this is a team they have to solve it later.
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah.
If I were them, I still stand by I would trade Karl Anthony Towns for literally whatever I could get. Mm-hmm. But I think they readdress it in the offseason.
I agree.
I was just alarmed I went Bill Simmons mode, and I was the body language doctor during the Cat game against the Sixers, and I was like, man, this is rough. Like, I really do not think the rest of that team likes him. And the on-court stuff has been shaky. So, you know, I definitely would consider trading Cat, but I think that's more likely to come in the offseason.
Yeah.
The Kings. Let's blow this shit to smithereens. They also might be willing to. The problem is that no one can take any player on their team except for Keon Ellis. No one wants Malik Monk's contract. No one wants DeMar DeRozan. No one wants Eglefine. No one wants Sabonis except for maybe the Raptors.
Yep.
But once again, I would do everything in my power to blow it up. and just move on and hope we get lottery luck
Yep.
and just put everything in the past with whatever you've done the last 6 years. Just move the fuck on, dude. You blew it so hard with these last few years that you just have to completely reset.
Yeah.
The Pelicans. We're going to New Orleans in 2.5, 3 weeks.
Yep.
They've turned things around a little bit. I think what was the propaganda we were getting with Andrew and Richard?
I open up that chat. It makes me feel sad. It's like, what did Richard had a really funny thing. He was like, we're only 8 games back or something.
From like what, the 10 seed?
10 seed, yeah.
So they're 7-0 in the last 7 games that Herb and Sadiq Bey have played. They beat the Spurs the other night. They're 7-5 with Herb. Under 7-5 with Herb. Under Borrego, and 3-20 when he doesn't play. I genuinely am like, Herb Jones would, if the Sixers had made the Herb Jones trade before they decided they're not trading him because of all the propaganda that I'm laying out right now from our friends in New Orleans. Mm-hmm. I genuinely think he would have been like our Alex Caruso. Like, he is the exact kind of guy where it's like all the impact metrics love him. You watch the game and he just affects a ton that isn't like traditional like stat stuffing stuff. Like, he's not like a good shooter or like a great scorer, but like he's just one of the best defensive aces in the NBA that makes smart plays on offense. And yeah, maybe you could get to the point where his shooting becomes a problem in a playoff series, but I just think that he's probably not going to get traded. If I were running the Pelicans, I mean, I would seriously consider blowing it up. Like, I think I don't think you're ever going to get higher trade value for Trey Murphy. I don't think that Zion, that thing is, it's just every year. It's like, 2 weeks before the trade deadline, and we're talking ourselves back into Zion on the Pelicans. But then again, like, what can you really get for him? We've run into that problem a ton of times. I would consider blowing it up, but I don't think that they end up doing anything at this deadline, really. Like, I think they try to trade DeJounte. From what I've heard, they try to trade DeJounte. They try to trade Jordan Poole. And if they can't trade either of those guys, maybe Looney. Yeah. But, like, I think they're just going to roll with the young guys and they are quote-unquote vets and go from there. Apparently, DeJounte is the one guy that, like, wants out, but, like, you tore your Achilles, dude. Like how can they trade you if you tore, like, who is trading for
no one's trading for him. No.
He's stuck there.
Yeah.
So for my opinion, I'm just gonna put them in sellers just because I think they should be.
They probably won't be. I think I'm starting to get the sense I think they're actually going to stand pat.
I agree.
Troy Weaver, you demon.
I agree. I'm just saying this is the thing that he always does. This is like where it's like, oh, you probably should. Nah, we're not going to trade him. Okay. All right. Have fun. They don't have their draft pick, so they can justify it, but their other fuck up.
Yeah. I know Dumars is the GM. Troy Weaver's the GM.
Yeah. He's the shadow GM, dude. He's our goat.
He's the Vares, Lord Vares.
So if the Pelicans are buyers at this deadline, I will be booing the entire time at the Sixers Pelicans game.
I'll be on thumbs down.
I can't wait, dude. We're a few weeks back to New Orleans, out of this horrible fucking weather we have right now. Hopefully it's good down there because the South is not immune to storms like it used to be in the past. So I'm hoping that things kind of turn around. Yeah. So, all right, let's run through here. The Suns, I think, are just going to stand pat. They might dodge the tax. Yeah. Trade Nick Richards' small contract to try to dodge the tax.
I mean, they literally can't do it.
Yeah, they're not doing
all their
Yeah, they're done. But they shouldn't do anything. Like they're having a very fun, surprising season, and they should ride the good vibes.
Yeah,
the Grizzlies should be sellers.
Absolutely.
Disaster season again. Don't know which direction your franchise is going. They have players that other teams would really want, I think.
Yeah.
Like I think players like Santi Aldama, Vince Williams Jr., Jock Landale. I mean, honestly, Jaren Jackson Jr., but I don't think that they're ready yet.
No.
John Morant. Of all the guys that have been rumored, I still think Ja is the most likely to get traded in the next week. Like the big names, right?
Yeah.
Like AD, Ja, Zion. I think Ja is the most likely for them to be like, it's not working, let's trade him. But his trade value is so low right now, and we just saw what Trey went for, that I highly doubt that he does end up getting moved. But if there is any of those guys, I would imagine it's him. That get moved at this deadline. So the Thunder. It's what we think they should do.
I keep saying they should be buyers, but it will not happen. They will be a stand pat team.
I agree, but I do think that they should be trying to use those bench contracts and their picks to go get someone who's like a real playoff player.
They have like 4 first-round picks again. Like, get out ahead of this, man. Like,
I think if Jokic didn't get injured, they would be more likely to be like, let's do it.
Yeah.
But the Jokic and Gordon has possibly a recurring injury.
Yeah.
That they might be like, maybe we could just get lucky again. But I agree. I would give myself insurance. And I think the OKC fans kind of are starting to feel that way with this team, where they're like, J-Dub's hurt. Like, we have these picks. Like, we're not going to be able to roster all these guys. We have Isaiah Joe and Wiggins and Kenrich Williams tradable contracts. Like, let's go get a guy.
It would be so funny if he didn't do it. Like, he is such a fucking coward, dude. When has he ever made a purchase trade that wasn't trading up? Was the last time he did that? I guess Paul George.
Caruso.
That was kind of like a swap, though. Like, people like.
Well, that's if you think about it,
like we just challenge trade, you know.
But this is what we were talking about with the first round pick thing, where it's like they just valued Giddey over a first round pick. And they didn't have to give up. When that trade came out, we were like, wait, what? Like, they didn't have to give up a pick in that. So that was more just like, in our opinion, scamming. It actually has been fine for the Bulls.
It's been about as good as it possibly could have gone for the Bulls, I think.
Yeah.
And
no, I agree.
Not a good
trade. Yeah, I mean, Caruso was the third most important player for them in the playoffs. So it just kind of is what it is. But no, I agree. They should be active. They should be trying to give themselves insurance, because windows don't last for forever. You have an MVP playing at the peak of his powers, a second option who has been bad when he's played this year and inconsistent and injured the whole season. Chet's been good, but we never know with Chet's health stuff. You have good role players, but not guys that you can rely on to hit shots in big moments all the time. I would definitely be trying. I think they're more likely to make like a medium size, like here's, I don't know, Aaron Wiggins for IO or something along those lines. But they should be interested in people for sure. Like, they should definitely be trying to go out and get guys. The Pacers, who just, by the way, just beat the Thunder again. Oh, and by the way, I've been fading this Raptors team, even though they've been good in the regular season. They beat the Thunder. Like, they beat the Thunder. Like, credit to them. Like, they've been way better than I ever anticipated this year. I have to give them credit. And Scotty Barnes might win Defensive Player of the Year at this rate. He's definitely up there. He's probably going to finish top 3. So good for them. But the Pacers just beat the Thunder again. They really don't have any. I think they just stand pat.
They're gonna be good when Halliburton comes back. You don't want to and I don't really think they have any like problems they need to get ahead of, for when Halliburton comes back. I think it's fine. So
they've apparently been benching Jay Huff. He's only played like 5 minutes in the last 2 games.
Oh no!
I think they're trying to tank, I guess, but like
benching Jay Huff to
well,
tank.
Maybe it is very funny to say that, but he's been good.
No, I know he's been good. Like,
he's been trying to help them compete. Basically, I do also wonder if they might have a trade out there for him, where they get their center upgrade for next year. Like, they've been interested in like Zubac and Walker Kessler. I don't think those guys are going to get traded, but they've been interested in Daniel Gafford. I do wonder if they try to go down that route at this deadline and decide to, move towards the center of the future. But I agree. They're kind of in the Hawks situation where I'm like, see what happens in the lottery and then make your team. Like, don't worry. Like, the one player I thought they could have traded at this deadline was Obi Toppin, and he got hurt. So they're not trading anyone. Maybe Jay Huff. The Rockets. they're in a tough position.
They're kind of hard because like I honestly consider, before like really thinking about it, I was like they were the other ones with the Pistons that I thought should be in the go nuts. What do we call the go nuts tier?
Fuck it, we ball
tier. Like, and I don't really know, like some of the KD behavior is like a little alarming now, where I'm like, I'm not sure I want to like triple down on this iteration of the team if like KD is like
throwing his hands up in the corner when just driving to the basket.
If we're doing like KD like tantrums, like like maybe I wait a couple years before I start.
To me, Reed being as good as he's been this year, even if you think you're like at the higher levels of the playoffs, he might be someone that you can't play a ton of minutes, because especially with your coach,
for sure,
who like hates him.
Let's go.
But my thing is like Reed being as good as he is, and like pretty much everyone except for Jabari kind of living up to the standard this year.
Yeah,
I know you traded for Kevin Durant, but the Fred VanVleet injury just changes everything. I would just stand pat.
Yeah,
I would just like maybe make like an upgrade on like Aaron Holiday or something, like nothing crazy. Like I would be chilling. I would be like, we got
see what it looks like in the playoffs, right? Like
that's the thing, is that this year will be a good litmus test for who is good in a playoff setting and who, because like last year we learned Jalen Green was just not going to work on this team in the playoffs, so they made a trade. And like I think Jabari might be that guy this year. Like I think Reed's on his rookie contract, so they'll probably have more patience with him. But if Jabari proves to be that guy this year, they seem to get away with just trading away those contracts. Yeah, because I remember when the contract came out and I was like, normally I would like trash this, but like they just traded Jalen Green, who got like $30 million a year for Kevin Durant. So just real quick, I don't know if the Suns were ever interested in this, but if you could go back in time, I know Bias Houston posted about this. He said we probably should have traded Jabari instead of Dillon Brooks in the Kevin Durant trade. And I was like, if you could make the salary work, I don't know how that would have worked.
Yeah.
But if you could make the salary work, like Dillon Brooks would definitely help this team more than Jabari does.
That's true. Would Dillon Brooks help this team going forward more?
Yeah, the real question, because like Dillon Brooks, as good as Dillon Brooks has been for the Suns, he wants to have the ball. He wants to cook a little bit, and like he probably would have helped. But you also didn't know Fred VanVleet was going to get injured.
Yeah, like I don't,
Yeah, so. I agree. He definitely fits the identity of the team more, though, with like Udoka as coach.
Sure. No, that's
they like grind out wins and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. The Timberwolves. I kind of think
do they have any moves to make like that aren't a fake Rob Dillingham trade who nobody wants? Like,
so they could trade. The trade that they've been linked to mainly is the Kobe White for, I think the rumor I saw was like Conley and Terrence Shannon Jr. for Kobe White, but I would just rather roll with Bones Highland at this point and be like Kobe White would definitely be, I guess he is an improvement over the Conley spot. He definitely is. Conley's like fully washed at this point. But the thing that I like about the Wolves, and when you get to the playoffs, is that everyone can play on both sides of the court. And I just think that Kobe's too offensively tilted for what they want to do. And I would rather just be like, start Dante, have Bones as your sixth man, and hope that Terrence Shannon Jr. can like kind of turn things around. Because they really don't have moves to make.
No, they don't. They're kind of just on this. Just let it, see what happens. Like I think they have one more year of good grace. And I mean, like, look, they've made the conference finals back-to-back years. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
Like, so
the way that their fans talk about them is kind of crazy, considering like on the internet, like on Twitter, is kind of crazy considering how much success they've had relative to their history. But it and they haven't won the championship, so it's obviously different, but it kind of reminds me of Eagles fans, where like the younger fans don't know what it's like to just be in piss and shit all the fucking time. And you have this potentially like game-changing playoff riser superstar in Anthony Edwards, and you want to try to maximize his years as much as possible, because even the older fans know with like how things went with Kevin Garnett, like obviously it's not a guarantee he stays there for his whole career, right? But this is about as good as you could get for a guy that is just starting his second contract, basically. Like, Anthony Edwards is 24 years old, and you've made 2 conference finals. like, and by the way, we talked about the cat. Like, they look like they've won the cat trade. Like, they've made the only move they've made that was bad was the Rob Dillingham trade. And it is proving why teams don't give up future shit to go get guys in the draft.
Yeah.
Because I was never like, I just thought Rob was too small to be like a real like high level playoff player or anything like that. Like, unfortunately, he's really talented, but like it just has not worked out. Yep. It was always a risk, and it has worked out about as bad as it possibly could. And that's the move that is really hurting them right now.
Well, once they start Josh Minot, I think they'll be a lot.
That's the one thing that you can criticize Finch for, is like, bro, you can't just let all of these guys that have proven to be like, they have depth problems, and he just consistently will never play young players.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of coaches do that, but like it's becoming a problem for him. It's definitely becoming a problem for him.
They're stand pat.
Yeah, they're stand pat. I agree. Look at how many stand pat teams we have.
Well, I mean, that's why this is a bad deadline.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nuggets, do we even need to discuss it? I mean, they're also a stand pat team. Like, it's,
if they can just get healthy, they're going to be scary, dude.
Yeah.
They're going to be a crazy two-way team going into mainly offensively. And then Jazz or Sellers?
Feeling good about it. I'm feeling real good about it. Yeah.
Are the Jazz sellers?
Jazz or Sellers. Will they actually be sellers? No, they'll probably be a stand pat team because Danny Ainge is a monster.
Well, they also don't really have players that they would be willing to trade that teams want.
Should have traded Lauri Markkanen again. Yes. They should be chopping him now, and they refuse to. Like,
I agree.
It's just, they're so annoying, dude. They're so annoying.
They might trade Nurkic. Who's been pretty
like,
good for them.
Fine for them, yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Good. They should trade him though, because this is totally Mickey Mouse.
I was gonna say, I'm thinking this is a little bit of when a guy goes to the Celtics and plays really well.
Yeah,
and you're like, or the Heat.
Yeah, and
it's like the second they trade him, he's just gonna fall off a fucking cliff.
Absolutely. Like he's like hasn't gotten injured, which is like his main thing. Like he's gonna. Like, if the Lakers gave up any for them, he would immediately have like a Jones fracture in his foot or something like that. Like,
no, all of their trades they're going to make at this deadline are like fringe moves. Nurkic, Kyle Anderson, Kevin Love, might have a few guys they buy out.
Kevin Love, come to Boston. Teach me how to be handsome, King.
I mean,
we need outlet passes, man.
I don't think Kevin Love's going to be playing big playoff minutes or anything, but he might be able to go to be like a good vibes. He could go back to the Cavs and be like a vibes guy or something. But I don't foresee a lot of high upside. But he's been good. He's been pretty good this year. But once again, I think Will Hardy's a bit of a devil magic coach and gets a lot out of guys. Like we talked about it with the Ace Bailey stuff, where it's like, man, he really got drafted to the perfect team for him.
Yeah. He really
didn't make the Rising Stars game, by the way. I was really surprised by that.
That's kind of crazy.
I was surprised by it because he's such a casuals
big
love
name.
him.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's such a big name. Yeah,
he's like a bucket getter in college. Casuals, I mean, you would have thought that we passed on fucking Michael Jordan based on how Sixers fans reacted when we didn't draft him, and he didn't make the Rising Stars game. Every other pick in the top 10 made it except for him.
I was wondering why you were digging in on that, and then I remembered this is your project.
What, Disgrace Bailey?
Yeah. Little Disgrace Bailey slander to close the pod.
Little cherry on top.
To victory lap everyone who wanted him over VJ.
It's such a good slander name, dude. It is like, I don't even think Ace is like, I think Ace will be fine.
Yeah, he's not actually that bad. It's just such a funny slander name.
The Disgrace Bailey name is just too good, dude.
It's too good.
All right, let's run through our list here. We only had one team in the top. Yeah. The fuck it, we ball, push the chips in is the Pistons. Take advantage of this year. You're the number 1 seed. Go for it. Buyers, we have the Hornets, the Sixers, the Spurs, and the Thunder. Sellers, we have the Mavericks, the Nets, the Bucks, the Pelicans, the Grizzlies, and the Jazz. Stand pat, we have basically every other team in the NBA. We have the Cavs, Blazers, Celtics, Wizards, Raptors, Suns, Warriors, Clippers, Hawks, Lakers, Magic, Knicks, Pacers, Rockets, Timberwolves, Nuggets. I don't think there's going to be a lot of trades at this deadline, unfortunately. And then blow it up, we have the Heat, the Bulls, and the Kings. And let's be honest, the Heat are more likely to stand Pat Riley, folks. Have you heard this one? Anyway, so yeah, this was fun. We hit our government mandated 2-hour quota.
Even with the 10 minutes of my shit failing factored out. So
we always deliver. We never disappoint. Come to New Orleans with us. I know it's 2.5-3 weeks away, but you should come. The tickets are in the
description. There's not snow there, I don't think.
There's not snow. Hopefully there's no snow.
Yeah.
In the future there, we can escape and get a nice vacation out of this. And shout out to sending our solidarity to those in Minnesota, everyone being affected by this. Abolish ICE and shoot it into the sun, and stay safe out there, guys.
Peace.
Peace.